Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the number one undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxey.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown, and I am your host, Mark Roxey, and I am delighted to be with you today. I am here with my partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt, and we've got a great show for you today. Let's see what we can do here. So, there we go. There's my boy. What's up, Harold?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, and I'm delighted to be with you today, and thank you for tuning in. If you are tuning in on an Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or anywhere you get your podcast, thank you for being with us. Thank you for having us in your car or wherever you are listening to this amazing podcast. And if you are tuning in on YouTube, thank you for being with us. We got a wonderful show again. And don't forget, down below, before we get the show started, hit the like, subscribe, and notification button. It'll help us greatly. Thank you, Harold. That's right. Down there. Do it now so that you know when we go live. We usually will go live, and you'll have a couple of minutes to jump in and be a part of the podcast. And don't forget to leave your comments. We got a little comment section. So if you want to join the conversation, just jump on in the comments area and leave your comments. We'd love for you to be on the program with us here on the Boxing Breakdown. And today, on today's episode, we are going to break down a bunch of things. We're going to talk a little bit about Jaron Ennis versus Keith Thurman. Is that a good idea? Does that fight happen? Is it going to happen? Then we will also chop up Devin Haney versus George Kambosos. That fight is imminent, people. It's going to happen. So it's not really a question of if, it's more a question of when and what happens in the next fight. And then, of course, we have Mikayla versus Alycia Baumgarder. And finally, we'll hit Triple G and Canelo. We'll talk a little bit about that, which I know Harold is very excited. Harold, talk to me, my brother. Let's get into the Jaron Ennis versus Keith Thurman fight. What you got?
Well, right now it's a rumor. It's a rumor from the bowels of the boxing.
Ooh, I love the rumors.
God. We don't know if it's real, it's not real. It has to be substantiated. However, the rumor is that Ennis and Keith Thurman are rumored to fight. That would be a great fight to look forward to, just because Thurman is such a talker, and he is going to be looking to make the best of his opportunity.
Yeah.
Thurman's only lost once, so we'll have to see how that goes on. But that's the rumor, Mark. Isn't that something?
Well, Harold, I mean, boxing is made up of a lot of rumors. We all know that, but man, Jaron Ennis is he's one of the most feared fighters in his division. And, what can I say? The orthodox 5'10" fighter with the 74-inch reach from Philadelphia is 29-0 with 27 big wins coming by way of KO. And he has fought some pretty good fighters in those last couple of fights, including Sergey Lipinets and Thomas Delorme, both very, very good seasoned fighters. So the guy is putting people away. He's sleeping. He slept 27 of his last 29 victims. And, I don't really know what would be the rationale for picking a guy or for having, a fight be made, Keith Thurman versus Jaron Ennis. But, the one thing about Keith Thurman is that he's a great fighter too, and the question really I have now that he's on the other side of the coin, he's on the other side of the conversation. Keith Thurman used to be right up in the front of the conversation. Now he's kind of taking a back seat to a Jaron Ennis, if you will, and he's got a lot to prove, a lot to kind of live up to. I know that he's had some physical problems with his body. His body's breaking down a little bit, or has in the last couple of years. And what is left of Keith Thurman as he, if they do make this fight, what happens, Harold?
Well, we've been nice and we want to be honorable about the situation. Let's get down to it. Okay. He has an opportunity to either go out on his shield, or he has a chance to kind of test him and go the distance. If he's knocked out, he's through. Right. Keith Thurman, that is. He has opportunity to really do something. Now, he's going to have to come off with some kind of strategy. He cannot get in closer with this guy. He can get knocked out. He can get beat up badly. The optics will be bad. There'll be a lot of punches thrown. Right. That will be on camera. There'll be pictures all over it. Promoters were like, I'm not giving Keith Thurman a job anymore because he got beat up bad in that fight. He has so much on the line here. Right. And he could easily lose this fight. That's the bottom line for him. So he has one last grasp of the big payday. Right. He has a grasp of being relevant again. He's just on the very end of the whole situation. Now, Boots, on the other end, he's hungry to get a big fish on his platter. Yeah. And he's got one right here. He knows if he knocks this guy out, it's going to catapult him. So he's coming to knock him out. He's not even coming to really show any skills other than just the skill enough to knock him out. He has to stop him 10 count. Not no TKO, not no stop on cuts. He needs Thurman out 10 count. And he's going to be coming to do that. Now, he will sacrifice himself to get that. Yeah. Because this is the biggest fight. He can't be cautious. He can't be too aware of the game plan, meaning that he won't get hit. He's got to get in there and get Keith Thurman out of there. That is what the bottom line is. It's not all this niceties, nice. This is his last chance. This is his last grasp, to do anything. And Ennis is hungry. And, when the kid is hungry, they do whatever they have to do. If you're hungry in the streets, you do what you have to do. You do whatever you have to do to get what you need to have for your life to go on. Ennis is in that situation. He needs his life. So he is absolutely 100% going to be all in. Thurman is grasping at his last straw. So the motivations between the two are doing different. But I see Thurman at the end of a situation where he can, end up elsewhere. Off camera, we talked about he doesn't want to be a gatekeeper. So he'll probably just retire if he loses. That's what I see, Mark.
Well, the one thing that you said that I don't really agree with, which is that Keith Thurman is, on his way out. I think what I was trying to say at the top of the program is that Keith Thurman has had some issues with his body. Yes, he's definitely the older fighter, right? He's 33 years old. I think Boots is, I'm not sure how old.
24, 25.
But Keith Thurman is definitely the older fighter. Record wise, on paper, it looks like a fantastic fight because, Keith Thurman is 29-1. He's got 22 big wins coming by way of KO. And as I said before, Jaron Ennis is 29-0 with 27 big wins coming by way of KO. Keith Thurman has definitely the more experience. If you were going to look at them on paper and, review them side by side, Keith Thurman has more experience in the ring on the big stage. That's all I'm saying. I don't mean more experience in general, because we know if you know anything about Boots Ennis, Boots is in the gym all the time. He spends a lot of time in the gym. He lives a certain lifestyle, if you understand what I mean. There's a certain lifestyle involved in whether he's doing. You
I
agree?
agree with that. I agree with that. Yes. Being under the big lights is a different animal. I get that. I truly understand that. Ennis has not stepped on a stage like that where the run up is a month and the whole world is asking your opinion and interrupting your training camp, and just a whole thing would just be a huge circus for him. Whereas Thurman's been through it 3 or 4 times, so he understands that situation. However, I believe after the jitters are gone
Right.
and he settles down and he starts to see his advantage over Thurman, I think he'll be just the killer
Right.
that he has always been. Thurman will have taken advantage of the deer in the headlights that Ennis may have early, maybe to pile up points and maybe to get through with a decision win.
Yeah.
But I don't see him taking Boots out. I see him land some good, clean punches that would take most people out. But the hungriness that Ennis has to have and will have to win this fight would just allow that not to affect him at all.
Well, Harold, shame on you YouTube visitors, the ones that are watching on YouTube right now, because nobody put in the comments down below that Keith Thurman's record is actually 30-1, not 29-1. So pardon me, Mr. Thurman, for getting that incorrect. Your record is actually 30-1 with 22 wins by way of KO. Not what I cited earlier on in the program. I'm sure you're jumping out of your seat wanting to kill me here, but please don't kill me. Don't kill the guy. I'm just a messenger. And his last fight was in February 5th of 2022, where he faced off against Mario Barrios, and he won a unanimous decision against Mario Barrios. And of course, his infamous victory in July of 2019 against Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, where he got a loss, not a win, a loss, 12-round loss against Manny Pacquiao. That's his only loss on his record. So, I mean, look, this is going to be a good fight. It really depends on where the Clearwater Floridian, how he comes to the fight. Because we don't know. We don't know how Keith Thurman is coming to the fight. We've seen Jaron Ennis more recently. I mean, Jaron Boots Ennis was in the ring in May of 2022. So we really just saw him a couple of months ago against Custillo Clayton, where he got basically a KO in the second round of that fight. Yeah, I mean, we've seen Boots. We know what he's doing. He's more relevant for sure. But don't sleep on Keith Thurman, because Keith Thurman is he's a dog in the ring. We all know that. And it's going to be a really interesting fight. What do you think about the style matchup?
Well, we know that Boots is going to come forward smartly,
right,
and he looks to attack at all times. He's looking for angles to attack at all times. That's just his mandate right now. That's the fighting style he has. Thurman's fighting style was like that, but it hasn't been like that. And if you look at his last fight, you saw that he's changed his style. I don't want to say deteriorated. I don't want to say anything negative, but it's not the style that we're used to seeing.
Right.
And he didn't exactly use that style. And he used that same style against Pacquiao also. So if he comes with that type of style against Boots, he'll be on the back foot, and he'll get his opportunities by countering. However, if he doesn't have the opportunity to counter because the offense that's coming at him doesn't allow him to counter, right, he could be in a little issue with Boots. So I don't see anything different from Boots' style, but I do see Thurman having to adjust himself, and has adjusted himself in the past 2 fights to be a different fighter. I would have to go Ennis on this just because of his aggressiveness and his youth. And, he's never been down. He's never lost. And once you have a loss, it does change your mindset.
Man, who's shark food? That's what I want to know. Who's shark food? Which one of these guys is coming to the fight A side? Which one of these guys is coming? I mean, I look at Keith Thurman's record. He's got a stellar record. I mean, you just can't deny the opposition that he's faced. He's faced very, very good opposition. Pretty much the cream of the crop. He's got one loss on his record. And yeah, man, I mean, he's fought Sean Porter, he's fought Danny Garcia, he's fought Joselcito Lopez, Manny Pacman Pacquiao, Mario Barrios. I mean, he's had a lot of good fights in his recent Roberto Guerrero, Julio Diaz. I mean, he's Jesus Sotocorash. I don't know if you remember him, but great fight. Carlos Quintana.
He's done well. What he's done is well. But now he's in with a fighter who can drop you.
Right.
You named other fighters, which are excellent fighters. They're some of them are Hall of Fame, this, that, and the other. I'm not discounting them, but they're not drop you. I'm gonna drop you out fighters. Porter's not a drop you out. Those other gentlemen that he fought can't just turn you off.
Well,
Boots can turn you off.
No. I don't.
He can turn you off.
Well, he could definitely turn me off, I'm sure. I mean, he could turn you off, turn me off, and turn most of the listeners off too. The thing is that's not the question. The question is, can he turn Keith Thurman off? And I asked the question. I asked the question because in looking at his record, Harold, I do not see the level of opposition in these fights that he's had. I know he's a great fighter. I definitely concur with you, and most of the knowledgeable boxing community knows that Jaron Ennis is the real deal. That's not the question. The question really becomes, can he face a guy like Keith Thurman, right? 30-1 with 22 big wins by KO, seasoned professional who's faced pretty much the cream of the crop at the 147 pound weight division, right? The welterweight division in the most recent prime. Some of the best fighters, in the world came out of that division and came out of that era that we're talking about. And I just wonder if this is a question of, Keith Thurman seeing the opportunity as a shark, or is Boots the shark? I don't know.
Mentally, of course, he has that advantage of fighting all these guys in their prime while he was in his prime. Yes, right. He's seen everything. He knows what's going to come, how it's going to come, this, that, and the other. However, to the physical attributes, can I take that? Can I keep moving around? Can I keep doing what I need to do? Yeah. Yes, mentally, he's not going to be bothered at all. He's not going to be bothered at all. If he was in his prime, 25, 26 years old, like Boots was, and had the knowledge he has now, he would win. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
Yes, he understands everything that Boots could possibly do. Yes, the pressure, all that. He's been there, done that. But can he stand up to the physical pressure that he's going to get from a novice type fighter in his eyes? Can he stand up to that? Because he looks at Boots as, hey, his skills are limited.
Right.
I mean, I've seen all that. He's still in the realm where I can understand exactly what he's doing. He's not doing nothing. It's nothing serious. However, he still has to apply the power. He still has to get by that power, and that is the question. It's not mentally or nothing like that. Can his body hold up to get and use his mental attributes to win the fight?
Right.
I see it. If he does win, it's on points. He gets his points early. He knows how to get out of the way and neutralize that basic skill set that Ennis has in his mind, in Thurman's mind.
Yep.
Ennis has a basic skill set. Obviously, otherwise he wouldn't have took the fight. So that's just how I see it.
Yeah, I know. I get it. And you know what? Harold, this is a lot of things for us to tune into and to see how this develops in the coming months. Let's see if this fight can happen. Because if it can happen, it would be great for boxing. It would be great for Jaron Ennis' career, and it would be great for, Keith Thurman's career too, for both of them. And who comes out on top will be very, very interesting, I mean, that's all I have to say about it. Yeah, man. And then, so Harold, let's switch gears and let's jump over to the heavyweight division. Let's talk about the Gypsy King, right? Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. What's going on with this fight?
Okay, let's go with the numbers. I love the numbers. Okay, Tyson wants half a $1 billion. He wants 500. So they've already signed in kind 60-40 split, where Tyson will get the 60, of course, and Josh would get the 40. They would have a rematch, and the winner would get 60 again, and the loser would get 40. If there's a third fight, that has yet to be negotiated, but there will be a comeback fight. Either way it goes, they're going to do it twice. So since the monies are agreed upon, and Joshua was willing to get these two fights behind him of a style that just wasn't conducive to him winning, he's ready to get that behind him. Fury doesn't care about who has the belts, who doesn't have the belts. He can at least bring a WBC belt to the broadcast, to the optics, as a title fight, which is great. So he'll defend the WBC. Joshua has a chance to actually pick up the WBC if he wins, and then he can go back to Usyk,
right?
Providing Usyk has not been beaten by someone else. So
interesting.
This is going to be a good fight just because the world wants to see it. They don't care about the belts. Fury's got the cachet to bring the world in, and Joshua does too. This fight is not about belts.
Right. No. I agree with you. I mean, everyone loves to see a good heavyweight scrap. There isn't anyone that doesn't love to see a good heavyweight scrap, Harold Hunt. But I will say, like, this fight is kind of clearly a mismatch from records. I mean, if you were just going to look at it on paper, certainly, you look at Tyson Fury, he's 32-0. He's got one draw. He's got 23 big wins by way of KO. He's got almost a 70% KO ratio. And then you jump over to Anthony Joshua. Joshua's, 24-3. And he's been KO'd one time. 22 of his victories have come by way of KO. So, I mean, he's got the better KO ratio. He's got an 48 KO ratio. So he's got a pretty good KO ratio. He's 32 years old. I think he's maybe younger than Tyson Fury. In terms of height, Tyson Fury, towers him by 5 inches, almost 5 inches. So I think Anthony Joshua is 6'5" or 6'6", and Tyson Fury is 6'9". So Tyson Fury's got an 85-inch arm reach, man. 85. Take out a tape measure and measure. People, folks, listen, if you're tuning in, take out a tape measure and put it on your arm and measure 85 inches. You will not believe how long this guy's arms are. And Anthony Joshua's got long arms too, man. His arms are 82 inches. They're still shorter than Tyson Fury. But, these guys are big. These are big men. Big men. I think that I don't know what let me see. I want to see what Tyson Fury, when Tyson Fury fought last, what did he weigh in at? I don't know what he weighed in at. Do you?
It was 260 something, and he was very comfortable with that weight. He's always been light on his feet. So he'll be moving around with Fury. With Joshua. But Joshua does well with bigger guys.
Right.
He beat Klitschko. He beat some of the guys who are taller than he is, had longer reach, and it's more conducive to his style. So we're going to see a decent fight. It may be a mismatch on paper. However, I think in the ring, it'll be a different thing, and they both are going to bring the public out.
Yeah, well, I definitely think they're both from the United Kingdom. I think they're both with Eddie Hearn, right? Both with Eddie Hearn, right?
Thus the 60-40 split and the agreement to do the fight.
So check this out. They're both with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is going to clean up. He has no other promoter or no other, they're all his guys. This is a huge fight. I'm sure it'll happen somewhere in the United Kingdom, and it'll be...
Well, they already have a tentative date.
And is it in the United Kingdom or is it somewhere else? And what is the tentative date, Harold?
United Kingdom.
It is. Okay. Yeah, they're going to make it
Yes.
over there, of course. What do you think they'll do? What do you think they'll do in the box office? How many people do you think they will pack in? Because either one of them separately can do about 80,000 fans.
Well, the stadium, I think the stadium is 80. I think the stadium's 80. I need to do research on that, but we're looking at 80 plus
Wembley.
humans.
Right. You're talking about Wembley
Stadium?
Yeah.
Okay. Which will be, to capacity, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's just butts in the seats. That's just more optics. The main thing is the pay-per-view and the transmissions of the fight around the world.
Wow.
So that's where the bulk of it comes in. So as far as people being there, capacity. Whatever that is at Wembley, it will be a capacity.
Well, and Harold, with this fight, I know we said we were going to chop this up for the Boxing Breakdown listeners. And yes, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, we could talk all day about each one of their fights, their last 4 fights. I mean, Joshua has come off a split decision loss against Alexander Usyk. And prior to that, he also got a unanimous decision loss to Alexander Usyk. So he's had 2 losses simultaneously back-to-back. His only other loss was against Andy Ruiz back in June of 2019, I believe it was, when he faced Andy Ruiz, and Andy Ruiz jumped on the scene. That was in Madison Square Garden in New York. It was a huge event, and it was a major upset. And, after that fight with Andy Ruiz, he fought him again. He got a unanimous decision win. Then he fought Kubrat Pulev, and he beat him in the 9th round of a 12-round, title fight for the IBF, IBO, WBA, and WBO belts. And then he came up against Alexander Usyk. He lost, and then he lost again to a split decision loss most recently. And now there's talks of him coming back. I don't see it anywhere written that it's definitely going to happen. Did you see it's definitely going to happen?
Well, thusly, yes, it's to happen.
Tell me.
Joshua went ahead and accepted the terms of 60-40 split.
Okay.
The date has been announced. It's kind of not up in the air. They have one date, but Eddie Hearn has 2 dates at 2 different stadiums in that area.
Okay.
So the actual date, they don't know exactly which one he will put them on, but he has 2 reserved.
Okay.
And they're looking at another date. So we have to just wait and see which one they choose, but the fight will be made. So that is going to happen. There's no reason for that not to happen.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's all kinds of rumors going around about this fight. I mean, there's one thing that came across the wire that says Fury versus Joshua is off due to lack of response.
That is a good case.
That's a scuttle. I mean, is that real? Is that not real? I don't know. I don't know if it's what they're talking about.
Just like the rumor we had with our prior conversation on the other 2 fighters, we don't know exactly the swell of that. I've seen the article about the 60-40 split, the 3 days that were available, the availability of Joshua to do it. Tyson, he wants to do it. He wants $500 million. All of that has been written and documented thus far. So this is a new a movement or swell saying that the public is not interested in that fight. I'm interested in that fight. I want to see the fight. I don't care about the belts. I want to see the fight. So I'm not subscribing to lack of interest. And I'm sure that people in the UK will pack out that arena.
Yeah. Well, here you go.
What the pundits say.
I mean, here you go. You can look at your screen and you can see everyone. Folks, if you're watching on YouTube, check it out. If you're listening on podcast, you can't see, so I'll try to describe what we're looking at. But there's 3 top articles right at the top of the news feed, and the first one is Fury versus Joshua off due to lack of response. Team Usyk reacts, and that was 3 days ago. 7 hours ago, there was another one that says Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. Talks are currently on hold until next week. So you got that happening, right? So I'm not really sure, Harold. I'm not really sure what to believe here, but clearly there's some movement here. We hope that they make the fight. I certainly hope for Joshua's sake they make this fight because he needs this fight. You know, he needs it for financially, I'm sure. Couldn't hurt, but he also needs it, you know, just for his career. So let's see, you know, he's jumping around from trainer to trainer, Harold. I'm not sure how I feel about, well, I do know how I feel about the inconsistency of trainers. What are your thoughts about that?
He just wants to go back to the style that made him. He was forced by the public, by his losses, to go try to change the style, bring in the proper trainer.
Yeah.
The optics and the narrative had to be that he's trying to be a better fighter, change the style, bumped all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to what you've done, how you've been successful. Have somebody who's going to help you work with that. Right. He has an opponent where he can use his style against properly. So sure. I would get rid of all the boxing and this and that and just go back to what I've done. And he's been successful at it, obviously, you know, many times. And right. He tends to take out the big guys. You know, they're big, some of them are big, but he takes them out. Yeah. So he has the opportunity to go back to what he knows how to do very well.
Right. Yeah, no. I definitely agree with you, Harold. I think you're spot on about that. You know, let's see what happens in the coming week. I know this week is going to be really interesting as far as the developments for that fight and for a whole host of other things that are on the board. There's a lot of things that we're talking about. There's a lot of things on the board. This week is going to be a big week for boxing news as we enter into the fall months, into the fall, winter holiday season. There's going to be a lot of really good stuff happening in boxing for sure. So, Harold, let's switch gears here. Boom, boom, boom. Let's switch over to the females. There's a lot to talk about. I mean, there's actually, yeah, let's jump over to the females. I know I'm going to move it around just a little bit. Yeah, let's move it around a little bit. Let's just hit this Mikayla Meyer and Alycia Baumgarder news, okay, along with the Clarissa Shields and I think she's supposed to fight Savannah Marshall. Yeah. What do you know about that?
Well, as we know, Queen Elizabeth, rest in peace, passed, and due to the mourning in the country, you know, all sporting events have been canceled for that particular day. Yeah. So therefore, this fight that was scheduled to fight, these fights, Shields and Marshall and Malika Mayer and Alycia Baumgarder, and I believe it was two other fights, TV fights we were to see, have been canceled. We, of course, we will respect the situation in that country. Rest in peace. Now, for them, it's going to be kind of tough because they've peaked. They're at their height of nastiness, if you will. They're down to a point where they're not comfortable and they want to take it out. They want to fight. And with this postponement, it just changes their mindset, changes their body clock to get into the ring. And that can be an issue. Now, we know that it has problems for men from time to time just because of, you know, the muscle mass and the different makeup of the male species, the body, the right, you know, the ratio of fat of muscle or whatever. Women are different. I don't know what it is or what it's not, what it isn't, but I know that they're affected in some way.
Yeah. Wow. This is interesting because she was scheduled to fight Mikayla Meyer. The Queen of England has passed. They've postponed the fight. When is the new date?
Well, they're looking at the same day, unfortunately, that Deontay Wilder is fighting. The same day,
yeah,
Devin Haney and George Kambosos, but rather they're fighting. So you're going to have 3 fights on that same day. Now, then you have to add an exhibition fight, which is Floyd.
Right.
Floyd doing an exhibition on the same day.
No way.
The purists may not watch the Floyd work, you know, because he's bringing in so many different people.
Yeah.
The purists have a choice between Deontay and Haney.
Right.
I had a choice. I'm watching Deontay because Haney's going to do the same thing to Kambosos and win. So if the undercard is intriguing, maybe so, but it doesn't interest me. Yes, I always want to see Deontay because he either going to take you out or get taken out, you know, because he's going to stand in there. So that's great. Floyd, I don't see it. Now, if these guys come back, they're competing for the same dollars, the same pay-per-view dollars. And the main thing for the women to have their own entity that commands that dollar from the boxing public. And if they've got to spread it out over those 3 or 4 items,
Yeah.
I believe they'll be on the negative side of that.
Right. Well, this fight, man, I was so excited to watch the fight, Harold, because I've been following both Mikayla Meyer and Alycia Baumgarder. I do enjoy the women, the women competing, enjoy the work there, the way that as a trainer, the way the women process boxing and the way that they learn is pretty impeccable. So anybody, has had the pleasure of training female athletes understand that their mindsets are completely different and they have a different aptitude for detail. And both of these women demonstrate the aptitude that they have for the sport and for combat. And they are exceptional competitors, both of them. I've seen them both in the ring and they're both pretty amazing. So this was set to be an amazing scrap between Mikayla Meyer and Alycia Baumgarder. I'm really interested to see how the 17-0 with 5 KO Meyer is able to, handle herself against a 12-1 with 7 KOs, Alycia Baumgarder. Baumgarder comes out of Fremont, Ohio, and Mikayla Meyer, I believe she's from California, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not 100% sure where her. She is from California. She's from Woodland Hills, California. Sorry about that, Mikayla Meyer. But yeah, so this is going to be a really, really great fight. And if you are interested in watching the best of boxing, you need to tune into this fight. Now, if you look at their records, they don't have 30-0, 28-0, like Devin Haney, who we're going to speak about in a moment. Has got a record of 28-0 with 15 KOs. Yeah, okay. Mikayla Meyer has 17-0, right, with only 5 KOs, and Alycia Baumgarder has 12-1 with 7 KOs. Both of these girls can fight. They're not big knockout artists, but they definitely know how to win. They're both major competitors. And that's what was so interesting for me about this fight is that, I was thinking this is going to be a fight to the end. These guys are going to fight all the way to the last, to the 12th round. This is not going to be, early fight or something like that. It's just not. It's going to be, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but my assumption is that this fight is going to be, knockdown, drag out, kick out fight. They're going to be and it's going to be amazing boxing demonstrated in this fight. So remember I said that, don't sleep, people. Tune into the fight whenever it happens, because that is going to be for purists, you will love that fight. What do you think, Harold?
Yes, and the 2 rounds, the ladies only fight 2 minutes per round, rather.
Yep.
That is exciting because they're constantly getting after it from the first minute to the last second, because there's no strategy. There is strategy within the 2 minutes, but a 3-minute strategy allows you to kind of move differently as the rounds progress. The 2-minute rounds, you got to get after it. So you're going to see some good action.
Yeah, for sure. And, you got the last 3 fights that Mikayla Meyer has had have been against back in June of 2021, Erica Annabella Farasas, and then Maliva Hamdouche, and then Jennifer Hahn, most recently in April of 2022. She just fought Jennifer Hahn. And of course, she won a unanimous decision. All of those wins that I mentioned were unanimous decision wins. So when you come over,
she's fun to watch.
She's fun to watch. Yeah, she's fun to watch, and she stretches the fights all the way. They go in 10 rounds. All her fights, the last fight that she had that went 6 of 12, okay, was against Alexandra Soledad Zamora, and that was way back in October of 2019. All her fights after that were all 10-round fights. They all went 10 rounds. Okay? So now on the Baumgarder side, the last four fights that Baumgarder has had, she hasn't been that active. She fought against Christina Pacheco in December 2019. I actually had a fighter on that card, and so we shared a dressing room actually. So I'm very familiar with her work, and I watched the fight against Pacheco, and she stopped her in the first round, I believe. And then she fought Vanessa Bradford. That was an 8-round fight. She got a unanimous decision win. And then she fought Terry Harper. That was a pretty interesting fight. She got a KO in the 4th round. And then her last fight was against Edith Soledad Matisse, and she got a unanimous decision victory, 10 of 10. So, clearly she has a devastating right hand. If you've seen her fight, if you've seen Baumgarder fight, everybody talks about her right hand, but she's got other weapons. She definitely has other weapons. She's got some body work. I think when she fought Pacheco, Christina Pacheco, she stopped her with a body shot. So, it's not, she definitely is not the typical female fighter facing, an former Olympian in Mikayla Meyer. This is a real fight, people. This is going to be a very, very good fight. So tune in. Don't miss it. Yes. And that's all we really have to say. I mean, as far as Clarissa Shields, she was on the card. She was scheduled to fight. I apologize.
Savannah Marshall.
That's right. I'm sorry. Savannah Marshall. And that fight is also postponed. So let's stay tuned and see what happens, because we definitely need to see, these 4 women in the ring. They're all amazing fighters, and, women's boxing is really hot right now. And there's a lot of young up and coming female fighters that are waiting to, step into those shoes and grab some belts. So this is a unification fight too, isn't it? So, when the Mikayla Meyer, Alycia Baumgarder fight does happen, that's going to be a unification. So somebody's going to walk away with all the belts.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. Okay, so let's jump on over. Let's jump back. Let's jump back. Way back. Well, not way back, but a little back. Let's go back into the Devin Haney versus George Kambosos fight, which is not speculative. It's actually happening. Tell us, Harold.
Well, as you know, the initial fight carried a rematch clause. So that rematch will happen. They're going to go back over there. They're going to do the exact same thing. It's going to be in a smaller arena.
Yeah.
The optics have changed because he lost, but because of the comeback fight, they've moved it. I don't know what the particulars are. The money are concerned, but if you look in the ring and see what they could possibly do with each other, I don't see George doing anything different to get a win at all. And Devin has already seen what he needs to do to be successful. He's going to do that, and he's going to press the issue to see if he can get the knockout.
Right.
So, to me, it's kind of a moot point. We know what's going to happen. It's good to see it on the screen. We get to see Devin, apply his craft and press the fight because he knows that he can beat George.
Right.
George just has to try to show up and try to do something different or add something. But in my opinion, he won't be able to sustain whatever new he's going to use. He'll regress back to his regular style and he'll get beat again.
Right. Well, I mean, that's obviously what a lot of the boxing community is saying. I mean, it's certainly the lowest hanging fruit. I think that George Campbell, if you go back and you look at that fight, the last fight that they had, George Kambosos did some good work in that fight. It wasn't just like a one-sided fight. So I mean, you could argue that, but I thought that George Kambosos was competitive in the fight. And definitely it warrants a rematch. It's for the WBO, WBC, WBA, and the IBF belts, right? And that fight is scheduled at I guess it's happening at the Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne, Australia. So, it should be a really interesting fight. I don't know what to say, except the last fight did go 12 rounds. No one got knocked out in the fight. So, this is boxing, man. The crazier things have happened in boxing than a unanimous decision could mean that George Kambosos can win the fight. He can come back. He knows he's been in the ring with Devin Haney. He knows what his mistakes are. The last fight was an incredibly technical fight. It was a really, if you know boxing, you understand how technical the fight against Devin Haney was in the last, when they fought back in June of 2022. It was a very interesting fight, and I think the 12-round unanimous decision, the scores were 116 to 112, Harold, 118 to 110, and 116 to 112. So, two of the judges had it much closer, right? Than one of the judges seems to be a little bit. He had a little bit different viewpoint, I guess. But George Kambosos was not slept. He didn't get knocked out. So
no, he didn't.
So this is yeah. Go ahead.
They stayed away from the pocket the whole fight.
Yeah, they did.
So they didn't fight. It was so technical. They stayed out of the pocket, stayed out of harm's way, and went the distance. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
This time, Haney should step in the pocket and see if he can get this boy out of there. Kambosos has to step in there and see if he can get him out of there. That first fight, they had no interest in getting each other out of there. That was not it. Period. If I can win on points, I'm going to win.
Let me ask you and the listeners a question. Do you think Devin Haney's chin is suspect?
No, I don't think that. I think that he just knows that he needs to win that fight on his skills alone. He doesn't have to jump in and try to knock Kambosos out. He can just beat him up, make him look bad and whatever, and that's that. That's exactly what he did. Kambosos said, well, obviously I can't get close to him. I can't get to him, knock him out, so I'm going to have this written contract between us that we'll just go a distance and we'll stay out of the pocket with each other. That's the bottom line. This time, it has to be different. Haney has to go get him out of there.
Right. Wow, man, this is going to be another interesting fight. I mean, these guys are on paper, they're pretty close to one another. Devin Haney is 5'8" with a 71-inch arm reach. George Kambosos is, I think he's 5'9" with a 68-inch arm reach. So Haney has a couple inches on him, 3 inches on Kambosos. But, other than that, I mean, age-wise, Devin Haney is rolling at 23 years old. Man, he's the age of my son. Man, he's fighting against George Kambosos, who's only 29 years old. So, hey, this is going to be another interesting fight. I definitely wouldn't sleep on George Kambosos at all. Remember, he had much success recently against the infamous Teofimo Lopez, where he won a unanimous decision victory against Teofimo Lopez in a fabulous performance. And that was not, boxing fans have a way to forget, they forget stuff. But if you go back and look at that performance against Teofimo Lopez that George Kambosos had back in November of 2021, if he can put together a performance like that against Devin Haney, can you imagine?
Mark.
Yeah.
That was a once-in-a-lifetime performance. It won't be duplicated again. He got beat up very badly in that Teo
Shots
fight.
fired.
He's the one who got beat up. He won, but he got beat up.
Damn.
He's not going to be able to recreate that kind of fury ever again. That was his shot. That was it. Even when he went in with Devin Haney, he knew he had lost a lot from that fight, and that's why they stay out the pocket. He's not going to recreate nothing. He'll come in there with what he's got, and hopefully he thinks he can outbox him. He's done as far as having that same fire that he had with Lopez. That drained so much out of his out of his style and out of himself just to get through that. So he's not looking to stand in with anybody. And because of that, I believe Haney has opportunities to take him out.
Well, I'm just really, wow, man.
Bottom line, dude.
Yeah, I get it. Look, I'm just playing devil's advocate here because, there are a lot of George Kambosos fans. All you got to do is see the last fight. And there's a lot of people that are rooting for George Kambosos, right? They're so
styles make fights. Styles make fights. This style, he's not going to do nothing with this style. He's just not going to do nothing. He doesn't have the boxing acumen. He doesn't have the power, and he doesn't have the urgency as he had with Tio.
Right. I get it.
Kill me. You have to kill me in here.
Well, either that or hit him with something really, really, really big.
He got hit with some huge, terrible, powerful things. He refused to go out.
Yeah.
But that took it out of him. If he gets hit like that again by anybody else, he's gone. He's not going to be able to survive it.
Right. So you think that Devin Haney's going to sleep him?
Devin Haney, if he chooses to step in, he can finish him. If he chooses to do so. I'm hoping he does.
Right.
He needs to come back to the stateside with that knockout underneath his belt. Undisputed knockout.
Right.
Then he has the leverage. He already has the leverage, but he'll win and still have the leverage. But if he has spectacular optics of knocking this guy out, 10 count, he comes back with a lot more fire. Well, if you play spades, you got that ace and you stick it to your forehead. Pow, right here. And you go ahead and you run the game, and when it's over, you pull that thing off your forehead and pop. And you win, that book to win the entire hand. But
wow,
that may be a reference some may not be familiar with. Well, but it's ace in the hole, if you will.
So, in other words, when Devin Haney comes out of the ring, he's going to kind of get the real treatment, right?
Yes, because he's undisputed and he knocked out his opponent.
Okay.
He knocked him out. I need to say, but that's good. Good music behind that. You're right. He will be treated as a king, and which he is.
That's it. That's all she wrote. So let's see what happens, man. The fight's coming up, Harold. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for that fight. And you and I know we're going to be watching that sucker together. And yes. We're going to be talking about this podcast. So if you guys are interested in watching the fight, which I'm sure you are because you're listening to the Boxing Breakdown. So of course you're going to watch the fight. When is that fight, Harold?
The date escapes me right now, but I know it's on October 15th.
October 15th. Look at you. You pulled that right out of the top of your hat.
As the fight for Deontay, the 15th.
Right.
As the fight for Clarissa Shields rescheduled the 15th. And as we said earlier, Floyd has a exhibition on that same day. So
right. That's not even listed on the boxing. I mean, most boxing schedules don't even have that. We got
it's exhibition. It's not a fight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody's even talking really about that anymore. I mean, you got the Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin fight that's coming up. That's going to be quite an interesting fight. We've been talking about that fight forever, but Harold and I have feelings about that fight. But that particular fight is coming up, and that's going to be on September 17th on the Zone pay-per-view, man. You got to tune in for that fight because it will be a great fight. And then we have, I think there's let me see here. There's a fight in September 23rd on ESPN Plus, Stevenson versus Conseco. What do you think about that fight?
Stevenson is looking to move up to the next weight class. Mm-hmm. He wants to move up with those other gentlemen so he can get better opportunities to make big fights and show his skill set. So this is probably his last fight at the current weight class, which is 130.
Right.
He has 2 of the belts. He has no desire to get the other 2 because he doesn't feel comfortable making the 130 all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He'll go ahead and take this fight here, of course. He'll win easily, and then his next fight will be at 135, and then he'll campaign in that weight class. But we should enjoy him at 130 right here, and I believe his next fight will be at 135, and he'll be in the mix with everyone else at 135, and we know who those people are. So
yep.
He'll look great. Optics will be great. I love the word optics. He'll do that, and he'll move up.
Right. Yeah. Well, we also have Woods versus Lara on DAZN on September 24th at 2 p.m. We've got Parker versus Joyce on the ESPN Plus. We got Ben. There's your boy Ben, Connor Ben, and versus Eubank. That's on DAZN, a pay-per-view, October 8th. And then we got Fondura versus Campo on Showtime on October 8th. Haney versus Kambosos 2 on ESPN Plus, October 15th. Wilder versus Ennis on Fox Sports pay-per-view, October 15th. Fury versus Hunter on Sky Sports, October 29th. Jojo Diaz versus Cepeda on October 29th. And a fight looking all the way out into November. We've got a fight coming up, which I'm really interested to learn more about, which is the Bivol against Ramirez fight. So that's something to keep an eye on later on down the road. We'll chop that up. I am sure we will get into that. But that's your boxing schedule coming up for the next couple of months. And finally, just a real quick little conversation on the Triple G versus Canelo Alvarez fight. Harold, I titled this, "Are You Excited?" Let's go, Harold.
I am not.
and
excited.
Tell me, what do you mean you're not excited? Tell me why you're not excited about this fight. How could you not be excited about the potential for Triple G to actually dominate Canelo? How could you not be excited about that?
Triple G look good, maybe 3 rounds. Mentally, he'll be strong and forceful, and he'll try to exact, the work and the animosity, whatever he has toward Canelo. But after that 4th round, Canelo is just going to come on and finish the situation. He'll dominate thoroughly, and out of the consideration, I don't believe that he'll have an opportunity to stop him. I believe there's a possibility where Triple G's skill set is good enough for him not to get knocked out after he gets past that 4th round.
Right.
As Mikey Garcia had to do with Spence. I'm good enough not to get knocked out. And I believe Triple G will be good enough not to get knocked out after the 3rd round. He'll be effective the first 4 rounds, but after that, he is, what'd you say, shark meat or whatever you're trying to say?
Right, shark bait.
So I see him winning maybe 3 rounds and Canelo winning the rest with a Canelo knockout possibly, period.
Right. Wow, interesting. So, I mean, what do you...
I have no interest. I see it. I know it. I see what I see. I'm looking at something else. That doesn't interest me. I'm more interested in the undercard.
All right. Well, we're not going to chop up the undercard because we're just about rounding out our hour here on the Boxing Breakdown. But Harold, what I will tell you is that don't sleep on Triple G. These guys have faced each other. Alvarez and Golovkin have been in the ring for 24 rounds already. Right? These guys are rivalries. They've been waiting for this fight. Triple G has felt some kind of way about not being able to make this fight a long time ago. And here they are. When we talked, if you go back like a year or two in a podcast that we talked about this fight, and we laid out Canelo's move forward, how he would move up in weight class. He would ultimately fight Bivol. And then after he had those lowest hanging fruit fights, which we didn't know at the time what the Bivol fight would hold, but we thought it was the lowest hanging fruit for the least amount of risk. I don't know if you remember that when we talked about that. And then here we are now talking about the fight that he would ultimately have in his plan, which was, like you said, because it was the lowest hanging fruit and it was the lowest amount of risk for him to take with the most reward financially. So, I don't know. Is this a Toro Gotti Mickey Ward fight? Because the only thing that better than two really good fighters fighting are two bad fighters fighting. So is this an example of like Golovkin past his prime and Canelo past his prime, and now here they go? I don't know what we're looking at. Tell me.
Triple G will win possibly 2 or 3 rounds, and he'll be dominated by Canelo the rest of the way. There's no other way this is going to. Yes, they fought 24 rounds. Yes. All of that. I get that. However, the skill set that Canelo has to have because of his loss coming off of Evolve, and the situation where he actually had someone in the ring whose skill set was more superior or was more effective on his skill set.
Right.
That motivation is unbelievable. So whatever Triple G's is going to come with, he's going to say, I've seen this. I am not going to be a situation where my style is being, dominated by anyone else's style. And because of that, he's going to come in there with my style will dominate whatever Triple G has. And Triple G is going to do what he believes needs to be done because of all the rounds, but he will not sustain. He will not. 4 rounds at best, he's done.
Right.
As I said before, it'll go the distance. Canelo wins all the rounds, or Canelo takes him out.
Right.
That's it. That's all I can say. I mean, what you're saying makes so much sense and on paper, but my gut and what I've seen, what I feel, that's just what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to watch the fight. I do, and I said this before on our last podcast, Harold. I mentioned to you that I felt that if Triple G was smart enough and his team was smart enough to go back and look at the footage of the Bivol fight, they might find some blueprint there that could be super effective for the winning of this fight. Because I don't.
And what did I say?
I don't really recall what you said, but because I kind of probably tuned it out because I knew it wasn't what I was trying to say about. I'm trying to make an argument for how Triple G could possibly win this fight, and I really feel that if Triple G looks at the Bivol fight, I get the weight issues and all of that business, but there's something to when you have a fighter that is a counterpuncher that isn't used to getting hit with multitude of shots. That's a big deal. If you can expose that, and Canelo's team doesn't fix that, and Triple G and them go in with a game plan of what they saw in the Bivol fight. I'm not talking about the weight. I'm talking about the actual tactics that Bivol used against a very, very skillful Canelo Alvarez, and they backed him up to the ropes. They touched him at long distance, and then they tapped him up and they hit him with, instead of hitting him with 2 shots, they hit him with 3, 4s, and 5s. And by doing that, they stopped Canelo's output, put him behind on the scorecards. But in addition to putting him behind on the scorecards, it made him look really rusty and slow and unresponsive and not his normal self. And so, of course, you go to the weight, but I don't know if it's the weight. I think it's just the tactics. The tactics were brilliant. And I've watched the fight a couple of times, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. If Triple G,
I agree.
If they can pull that off, if they can figure that out, they might have a shot at that. I don't know. What do you guys think listening?
Agree.
If you guys have an opinion on this, please enter it down below in the comments. Hit us down below. Tell us what you're thinking. And please, share the podcast, like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Tell other folks in the boxing community. If you love the Boxing Breakdown, share it. If you don't love the Boxing Breakdown, fine, don't share it. But we really would love for you to share the podcast, okay? So share it. We say it every single week, and it is growing, but you can't share it enough, to be quite honest. Right, Harold?
Yes. Just a quick point, and I'm out the door on this one. Triple G is not Bivol. Triple G may see that opening. He may see how that's effective against Canelo.
Yeah.
I don't think he can execute in that manner.
Right. No, I get it. I really get I really get what Triple G is up against. I really do. I mean, he's up against a lot of things, and I'm just hoping that Canelo can't ring his bell. Because if he rings his bell, it's not going to be good, bro. It's not going to be good, right? Was that good? I just hope that Triple G has still got enough in his tank to make it a competitive fight because, what I'm going to say is that boxing fans are paying a hell of a lot of money to see a hell of a good fight. And so they better go at it, and it better not be an uncompetitive fight, because if it is a non-competitive fight, I think, we're just going to be really disappointed. And I know you don't want the folks at the Boxing Breakdown to be disappointed about your performances, Canelo and Triple G. I know it means the world to you what we think about your performance. So anyway, that being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown. And Harold, as always, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you for contributing so much to the audience and the listeners of the program. They love the broadcast, and they love you being on the broadcast. I love being able to chop it up with you. And so thank you. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And wherever you are, peace and love. And until next time, we are out.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxey and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxey.